How'd things go out there today?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was good. I mean, just getting ready for the game and trying to put ourselves in all situations and just make sure we're kind of getting through all things, just more just format and all that.
How do you feel like the depth chart's coming together, just as far as who's going to be ones, twos, and just getting ready now for the game coming up?
It's starting to solidify itself a little bit, but there's still guys that are competing. As we're looking at travel squad numbers and trying to narrow it down, we're still kind of leaving it open for this next week, and probably more all the way up to before we leave, as far as who's contributing on special teams and all that. Those guys are probably going to make the depth chart, as they compete for it. So.
Specifically the secondary, there was a lot of motion, coming into the fall camp. Are those guys solidifying roles as far as cornerback and safety?
Yeah. I mean, well, that's all still kind of up there. There's a lot of young kids that are still a question mark, and there's a lot of kids that can potentially, redshirt as well as contribute. So it's just, I think there more than any other place, there's probably still a lot of question marks as far as who's going to travel and who's in redshirt. So.
Does the red shirting, Kalani talked about it yesterday, but does that change how has it been adjusting to the fact that these guys can play, you can see them on the field and then make the decision?
I think, as we talked about, it's more of trying to make sure that the scout teams, the guys that we move over on the defensive side to the offense, that they can use our terminology, and they can still, hear things that are familiar and still kind of being taught. Because football is essentially there's kind of a little bit of everything in everybody's defense, and so if we can use the same terminology, get those guys still using the same techniques, then when we do plan on using them, early or late, they're still familiar with what we do and kind of the way that we teach it and how we're expected to run things. So.
Which defenders kind of stood out in your mind today? Who had good days in the
God,
scrimmage?
today, like I said, was more of a mock, and so really it's just mostly about just kind of substituting, make sure that we're getting in and out of situations and all that stuff. And so the majority of my attention was turned more to that than it was. I think Zane had a couple picks today, and that was good. But so probably Zane, if I had to pick a name.
That's kind of been lacking in these scrimmages is interceptions. Is that hasn't it been?
I got to go back and look at all the other scrimmages and figure out. I can't remember that far, but I can't remember last week. It's just it's all just one day lumped into one. That's low, man.
With Fred gone, who's kind of taking over as that vocal leader on the defense?
Fred wasn't very a vocal leader. He was more of just a guy that got it done, and we've got several. Everybody. Corbin is the guy that sticks out in my mind. Zane, another guy that sticks out in my mind. Diane, Austin, Lee. I mean, all those guys are. I think what it's really turned into is. I don't think any of those guys are vocal by nature except for Corbin. He's hilarious and he's talking a lot. But those guys, just by nature, they're more of taking care of business and doing the right thing, and everybody's kind of falling behind and following and knowing that that's a different type of leader. So.